Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. It is mail call time all the way from Hanoi, Vietnam. Something special from YECwork. I finally jumped on it, guys. I finally pulled the trigger. The spinner in this package is, or should be, I haven't opened it yet, the Viper V2 in Plexiglas. Yep. And I'm kind of pressed for time right now, so I'm just going to quickly do an unboxing and then just show you guys the spinner before I actually head off to where I'm supposed to be because I have a gig today. And then I'll just put this on my EDC and then get back to you guys with what I really think about the spinner. So please pardon me for that. Here we go. There we go. Whoa, it actually comes with a T6 Torx screwdriver. And this is nice. This is surprising. Oh wow, nice. So you can actually have it against your palm like that and it'll swivel, so that will just stay in place. That's nice. I like screwdrivers with this kind of this swivel portion because I think that really helps with the user experience of a screwdriver. I know, but still it's a Torx screwdriver and it's awesome. And then we have the Viper here, wrapped up very nicely, plexiglass, slightly frosted, which is the way I like it because I don't want it to be too like really clear, I guess. And this is the V2 version, which actually features some I guess fish scale or dragon scale lasering, as well as a dragon themed button right there. Two stainless steel balls there as well. And then we have, oh I see, we have some spare screws in case we lose any. So there are a couple of screws there. And then we have a pair of these glow beads. It looks to be resin with some glow powder material. And we have two tungsten balls because I was on the pre-order. Yes, shout out to you as well, G-Man. I know you're watching this video. G-Man and I just happened to order the same plexiglass Viper during that drop period. So yeah, I'm gonna take this out because I really don't have the time. Oh wow. Okay, this is much better than I expected. This is way cleaner than I thought it would be. Wow. So the edges here are really clean, and you could see there are a ton of trit slots. There's 4 vertical ones and you actually have 2 horizontal slots on each side, which makes it a total of 12 trit slots on this spinner. Yes, 12 guys. 4, 8, 10, 12. The laser engravings are also on the Torx screws. It's kind of hard to see because there's some machining marks on the Torx screws, but the engraving goes all the way across, so that's quite cool. Wow. Okay, I'm quite surprised, pleasantly surprised. Hold on guys, hold on. I might be wrong about this. So maybe it was not 12 trit slots. Maybe it is 2, 4 on the sides, and this one over here is like a trit slot that goes in this way. I don't think this is gonna be for a 1.5 by 6 millimeter trit. I gotta check. So I'll be asking Lin Mai over at the YECwork Facebook group to find out a little bit more details about the trit slots. But for now, let me give you guys a quick first spin. Oh wait, gotta pop the buttons off first. Yep, see, almost got too far ahead of myself there. There we go. Ah yes, dedicated male and female buttons just the way I love it. Angled sides and a big flat lip in there. I guess you could also use this for inlays if you want to put anything in there, but then it would totally block off the dragon design. It's a very Chinese dragon style, and if I'm not wrong, the Vietnamese also follow the same kind of, I guess, Asian mythological beliefs about, you know, phoenixes and dragons and stuff. So Chinese or Asian looking dragons. And oh, it looks like the bearings in there might be a bit rusty. I don't know, you see some brown spots there. But it is a shielded bearing. It's definitely not an R188 bearing. This could be 688 bearing. I'm gonna have to double check. So I don't really have the time to do that right now, guys. I'm just gonna give you guys a quick spin and then I will find out a little bit more details about the bearing there and see what I can do if I want to change it to an R188. But that means that I won't be able to use these buttons. So here we go. First spin with the ball bearings in there. Very light as expected because it is plexiglass after all. Oh, it's actually quite well balanced. I mean, yeah, the ball bearings are actually pushed outward now. You know, centrifugal force. Oh, there's a nice sound created by the ball bearings. Such a noisy spinner. It's actually pretty fidgetable. Okay, that's cool. Really, I got it because it looks cool. Like, honestly speaking, that's the only reason why I got it, because it looks cool. Now, in the past, they actually offered this transparent or clear version quite a few times, and I don't know if every single drop was of the same material, but this one is plexiglass. That's what I understand, and this is a V2 where we actually have a different portion up here. So I'm gonna go, guys, because I'm running late. Okay, I really am late. So I'll catch all of you in the next part, okay? Thanks for watching up till this point, everyone. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you all really, really soon. I am back, everyone, after spending about 3 weeks with the Viper on my EDC. And the reason why I took 3 weeks is because I actually waited for the first 1.5 weeks for my trits to arrive from Mixglow, because, you know, international shipping. But boy, oh boy, are you guys in for a surprise. I did not just install trits. Here you go. Yeah, the Viper is now purple. I took advantage of the fact that this was plexiglass and it was clear. And I love the fact that it was frosted. So I decided to try using the same technique that I used to dye any kind of G10 scales. And it turned out really, really nicely, I gotta admit. Like, look at this thing. It is so beautiful now. And I've got all my trits in. I changed the buttons out. I changed the weights out as well. Everything is just looking really, really amazing, and I love the way the custom work turned out. I have to admit though that controlling plexiglass in hot water isn't easy, and I'd like to share some advice to anyone out there who is interested in or thinking about dyeing their Viper. Basically, the dyeing process involves boiling water, and because the Viper is made in such a way that these areas here are really, really thin on the side, there's a high chance that they might warp, and I gotta admit to you guys, mine warped a little bit. So if I were to remove these two metal plates out here, you'll realize that the Viper is actually kind of bent in a curve upwards. And the way I managed to fix that, well, it's not 100% fixed, is to actually put it down on the floor, use a hairdryer, heated it up a little bit, bent it back into shape or squeeze it back into shape until the plexiglass cooled back down, and then it stayed in that shape. So that's something that you guys have to take note of. Either that or make sure that you control the water temperature really, really well during the red dyeing process. But yes, guys, this is it right now. I've got 4 green trits, 2 on each arms here, and to complement that, these 2 weights now are glowing resin weights, and they glow green, the same green as these trits here. Now these 8 trits here are all in the ice blue color, which complements it very well, but unfortunately it doesn't stand out from the top. It does stand out from the side like that though, so you know, give or take. I could have just put everything green because green trits glow the brightest in the, I guess, the trit brightness spectrum. But yeah, that's just my choice. So what else did I do? I actually changed these buttons out, and these were the only buttons that I found that could work, because it is now sporting a 688 to R188 converter in there, and I don't even remember where I got this converter from, so I have to apologize. I just knew that I had one, and it's the only one that I had, but it is a converter, and that means that the R188 is actually glued into the converter. It's kind of like a shim, okay? Let me grab my Torx screwdriver, and oh, by the way, the original buttons are here, so yeah, with the bearing right there. But let me just undo one side, and then you guys will understand. Just remove this plate. There we go. So there, this is it. It is the R188 to 608 converter shim. And the reason why is because I felt kind of limited to being able to use only 688 buttons. And the thing is, these buttons actually have quite a high shoulder height. So some other 688 buttons that I have, for example, I have a spare Mackie EDC 688 button, it doesn't work because of the shoulder height. And to add on another reason, it's because the bearing that was shipped to me was actually rusty. Yeah, you could see some rusting spots happening. Right, you guys can see that all around. There's some rust spots. So I really wanted to swap this bearing out. I didn't want to keep the original 688 bearing in there. And I was thinking, I don't have a spare 688 bearing, but I do have quite a lot of R188 bearings. And I remember that I had an adapter, so I used that. I just managed to dig it out somewhere. I think this was attached with one of the buttons that I keep aside. And then I had to extend the shoulder height on buttons. And so I got these very cool Damn Designs buttons. Yes, these are the tall vortex buttons, I believe that's what they're called. And I got these washers from some other buttons that I bought in the past, and I can't remember where I got these from. I apologize. You know, I bought a lot of things over these years, and they just so happen to fit. I mean, I tried other buttons, but for some reason all of the threads are just not long enough. Now I also tried using the same method that William shared with me that I used on the Magnus Ego spinner, but I didn't have the right set screw length. It was either just a tad bit too short or a little bit too tall, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but somehow I lucked out and just this pair of buttons work. And I gotta tell you, I'm actually very happy that this just works. I'm really happy. So now that we have this open, I'm gonna elaborate a little bit more about the warping thing that I was talking about. Not sure if you guys can actually spot it, but there's a slight gap between the plexiglass wall and the lip of the back plate. It's a really small gap, and so that's a telltale sign that this has warped. Now, it's not so obviously warped now simply because these are being held in with the 4 Torx screws, so it's kind of holding it all in place, right? So if I were to remove all of it, it's gonna warp a little bit. Don't know if you guys want to see that. Okay, maybe I should just show it to you guys. Yeah, I think I should. For the sake of transparency on this video, I shall do that for you guys. So I'll push this plate out. And this is also how you remove and change out any weights. I mean, if you want to remove weights altogether, it's entirely your choice. But this is how you change out the weights as well. So there you go. Hopefully you guys can spot it. You gotta have really sharp eyes though. It's just very slightly curved. And like I mentioned, the reason why it's not as curved as before is because I already bent it back into shape. But yeah, just look at that structural integrity. You could easily just push this down like that. So yeah, just be careful of these 2 connecting arms out here. Yep, and so in order for you to put weights back in, you gotta first have the weight into those respective slots. And it is unfortunate, but you're not able to put 2 ball bearings in each arm simply because of this lip out here. But yeah, just slot this in and then make sure it lines up with the frame of the spinner. Push it down and then install back your Torx screws. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but all the Torx screws are sized T6 Torx screws. Also, I know it's common sense, but yeah, don't tighten each screw down as we go along. Just make sure that you get everything in first, then tighten them one by one very slightly. Then when you're done installing one side of the plate, make sure that it is flush, okay? And then you know that you've installed it correctly. Grab your bearing, pop it back in, grab the other plate, do the same. Now that I'm done putting this thing back together, I'm gonna share with you guys the first gripe. I guess it's not really so much of a gripe, but more of an OCD kind of thing. And that is the fact that I believe these plates and the screws were actually lasered on after they were installed on both sides. And so now once you take out the screws, it's almost, I won't say that it's impossible, but it is really difficult for you to get the laser markings or laser etching to line up again from the screws and the plate. So that's something that might irk all of you out there with that higher level of OCD. For me, initially it really irked me a lot, but after a while I was like, screw it. So I don't really care anymore. I could just, I guess, reach out to YECwork or YECwork and ask them if they actually have spare Torx screws that were not lasered, and then that might solve my problem where all the Torx screws will just be plain Torx screws, maybe, you know, or I could basically flame them till they become purple and then match the body of the spinner. But yeah, just something that I wanted to point out. And then finally, just button up. And then we are back in business. So on to what I think about the Viper spinner. I actually think it's pretty awesome. It is really light though. So if you are someone who likes a spinner with a little bit more heft, this isn't for you. It is really light. It spins really fast. And well, I got it simply because of the way it looked. I think it looks really cool. But one of the things that bugs me a little bit is the fact that because it is plexiglass and because it is kind of like a frosted finish, it gets scratched up pretty easily. You could see a couple of marks here, marks like these here, and also I believe that it's present here, and here in the corners as well, and out here. Well, basically anywhere that gets scratched up is really obvious in person. It doesn't really show up that much on camera, but it's because of the way it reflects light differently from that point on. That irks me a little bit. And the thing is, it's because this is some kind of a plastic. It could be that you have an acrylic version, it could be that you have a polycarb version, or maybe a plexiglass version, but that means that you're not able to stone wash it, and the only other way is for you to try and find a way to polish this thing. But it's got such beautiful angles on it that it's kind of like a shame. Now overall, I like the design and the shape of the Viper. It's a little bit bigger than most of the spinners out there in market nowadays, but I really like it, and this is actually making me consider getting a stainless steel version because I want to know how it feels, you know, with that heft. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about this in terms of the fidgeting experience because I like it. It is a bar spinner. It's not the best in terms of fidgetability. Like it's a little bit wider, so that makes up for a lot of, you know, that kind of weight and the kind of heft, I guess, and it just gives you a bit more real estate to pull and push. But you know, there are better bar spinners out there in terms of fidgetability. It's just that this thing, in my opinion, looks really, really cool. I love the way it stands out. I like these laser markings here, but I don't like the fact that it is a 688 spinner, and maybe it's my fault that I didn't check beforehand what kind of bearing this thing takes. You know, knowing that it's a 688 might have deterred me from getting it because I just personally like R188 spinners, and with the way spinners are going in the market nowadays, I have kind of like a preference now for press fit bearings, because with press fit spinners, that's when you actually get to really experience the full feedback of a bearing. But for this, yeah, I mean, it's a novelty thing. It looks really cool and it's more of a collector's item. Now, to sum everything up, I paid US 75 for this. Of course, I'm not including any extra costs for the extra materials like the trits or the rit die. So yeah, it's 75 US for the plexiglass version. If you want to have that in your collection because you like clear spinners, then by all means get it. But this isn't a spinner for everyone. That is just my honesty speaking. This does look very beautiful in terms of, you know, like pictures, just something really unique, especially the fact that now I made it purple. It looks cooler in my opinion. If I get another one, another plexiglass one, I might make it blue and then one more green. I don't know. That'll be just me going overboard, but I thought about that, having a blue, green, purple, red, yellow version. I think that would look really, really awesome, but it's gonna cost me a bomb, so I think I'll just stop at this one. I'm sorry, I totally forgot to talk about the stock buttons. Now, the stock buttons, they are actually pretty okay. It's just that I'm not so used to buttons with a flat center and then having these outer lips edging outward like that. I'm used to having something with, I guess, a more obvious dish, or like maybe a taller lip leading into a flat center, because I don't feel as secure holding onto buttons like these. Now, don't get me wrong, these are actually fine. They are quite okay. It's just, you know, not as wide as the buttons out here, or at least they don't feel as wide simply because of this angled edge here. There's nothing wrong with the buttons, it's just a personal preference. So for me, I have this tendency to hold my spinners with a flatter grip, and so that actually causes the fat of my thumb to leak, yeah, just roll over and leak out. But this one over here provides me enough space, and well, it's actually pretty tall. Another thing I want to mention is that I believe, because this is an older design, you know, buttons actually sit on top of the frame, versus nowadays when a lot of spinners actually have weights being thrown upwards and they kind of create a space for the buttons to sit in. So like the design and the buttons actually kind of flow a bit better. This one features the older style with the buttons just sticking up like that. So it's just all design nuances. Really, it really depends on personal preference. And I'm not saying that I hate it. I like it. That's why I still have it. I'm still holding on to it. And I like it enough to actually want to customize and turn it into something that is really unique to myself. So yeah, really my final verdict is that I am enjoying the spinner. It's a really fun spinner if you want to customize. For example, change out different trit colors, change out the weights, change out buttons if it's possible. You could flame different parts of the spinner. If you're getting, say for example, a stainless steel version or maybe a titanium version, you could go for some crazy anodization. I also know that there was some really beautiful exotic versions of the Viper spinner made. I think there was a Timascus version or maybe a Zircuti version, I'm not so sure. But yeah, the plexiglass version is really interesting to me. Yeah, just wanted to share that I have this with you guys. Before I go, I'm gonna try and show you guys what the thing looks like when it's glowing. I actually have a little UV light here. So what I'm gonna do is turn on the UV light at the side and then turn off these lights here, and hopefully you'll be able to see that glow. There we go. I don't know if this is helping. Let's see how I can make this work. So we've got those green trits there, trying to get the blue to show up. Maybe I gotta bring the light a bit closer. There we go. You can see a bit of the blue. The dots aren't so obvious on the side, but you could see at least the glowing weight. Pardon me guys, I'm trying my best. Let's see if I can do something by adjusting the ISO on this camera. That might help. That might help. Can we see the blue? Oh yeah, you can see the blue a bit better now, but it's out of focus and I apologize. Yeah guys, I tried. Yeah, but hopefully that gave you a better idea of how these trits actually look in the dark. They're not bad actually. At night, this thing kind of glows in a pretty awesome way. Just in case I forgot, this is a size comparison of the Viper next to a stubby. It is longer and taller than a stubby, and it is about almost the same width. So yeah, just bigger than a stubby in almost every dimension, even on the sides. And that's about it, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking all the way throughout and sharing in this slice of my life. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you like the content that I'm putting out on this channel, I hope that you will consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, make sure that you hit the notification button so that you'll be notified of any new uploads that I put out. Also, I run a Patreon page. You guys are familiar with that by now, but I'll put a link up here to that. And if you guys do become a patron of mine, thank you so much in advance. And I realize that I've turned the entire thing a bit darker now, so let me just readjust the ISO again, make it a little bit brighter. There we go. And as always, links in the description box down below to the YECworks Facebook group as well as their website. I don't know when will the next Viper drop be, but if you're interested, then stay tuned to the Facebook group because they announce everything there. I hope that I provided enough information to help you decide whether or not the Viper V2 is a spinner for you. And I'll catch all of you in the next slice of my life. Until then, everyone, Gaga Boost.